Gemma Connell, welcome to the program from Gaza.
Thank you so much for having me, Christiane.
You have been there for the better part of a month now, consistently. What is it like? We hear that no place is safe. That's what international humanitarians say, that it's so difficult just to survive, much less to try to help those who are in need of help. What is it actually like for you?
Well, Christiane, again, I always say what it's like for me is not the story. It's what it is for the people who are living everywhere around me. And just this afternoon, as I came home, I saw all of the people who have been fleeing south in these past days. And just this evening, we had more people arrive to the area just outside our guest house where they're setting up makeshift tents and shelters in order to try and survive. But every night we hear the shelling, every night we hear the gunfire. And there are many days when it's very close. There was one day, Christiane, when I was about to head out on a convoy and there was naval gunfire literally just 50 to 100 meters away from us in the cars as we moved out. So to give you a sense, that's what every day is like for me. And I am one of the most protected people in Gaza. And so when we say there is no safe place, there truly is no safe place in Gaza.
And you are right now, I believe, near Rafah, which is meant to be the place where people can come in and out, humanitarians and those who have permission to leave. So I get what you're saying. I want to play a little bit of a voice message, a video message you posted on Twitter X just this week when there had been people killed actually in the hospital that you were at. So let me just play a little bit of it.
5 people were killed here, including a 5-day-old child. No child in the world should be killed, let alone one sheltering under the emblem of a humanitarian organization. This war has to end. You can see just behind me the diapers. This was a space where babies were living. This is a space where children were living. You can see on the floor the blood.
And it is very graphic. We see your camera or the camera pan down and reveal that. What else are you seeing? And you get very passionate. You go on about how it's a shame for the world and how this war must stop. I'm curious as to how you mix your emotions with your professional duty as a UNer.
Christiane, the two for me go together because I wouldn't do this work if I wasn't emotional about it. As a humanitarian, it's my job to care for people. So what I see here every day and what I hear here every day, it's my job to communicate that back to the world. And the first message that every single person that I have met in the month that I have been here in Gaza, the first message they give me is that the war must end. I met a family of women, their entire family killed except for 5 women. And one of them turned and looked at me. Her pregnant daughter had been killed. And she said, "We don't need food. We don't need water. We need an end to this war." And so for me, that's what I communicate back every day. Christiane, I have met children. I have watched children die. I have met a baby who was born in the street because his mother couldn't get to the hospital because of ground forces. That baby died, and that family had been trying to have that baby for years. And any person in the world knows how difficult that journey is to have a child, to then have it die in the street. And so we must be emotional about this, to be honest, because that's our humanity. And for me, my biggest fear is that the world doesn't see the people of Gaza as the humans that they are. And yet every day, that's exactly what I see, is the humans of Gaza and the devastating and catastrophic toll of this war on humans.
It is an incredibly tragic and devastating situation, as you point out, and as we see daily from the reports and the pictures of what's unraveling there. And we've reached out to the IDF about this particular issue. But I want to also ask you then, because in the weeks that have passed, we've heard from the UN and others that they may say they don't need food and they want an end to the war. Of course they want an end to the war. But we've heard that, perhaps half Gaza is in risk of famine. People don't actually have enough fresh water, enough food. What are you hearing and what are you able to deliver?
No, absolutely. When the women told me that, it wasn't because they didn't need it. It was because they felt the only thing that could end their suffering is an end to the war. But Christiane, the suffering is everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere that I have been. And I have been in the south of the Gaza Strip. I have been up to Gaza City. And when you cross the checkpoint into the north of Gaza, I have never in my humanitarian career seen the level of suffering, desperation, and deprivation that the people who are across that checkpoint are suffering. It has driven people to their absolute limit. No food, no water, very little medical supplies. That's what we see in the north. And here in the south, where people continue to arrive, just this evening as I left the office to the guest house, there were still hundreds of people pouring in to Rafah from the middle area where this new offensive is taking place, carrying whatever belongings they have left, bearing in mind most people have now been displaced not once, not twice, but 6 or 7 times, and the people here have nothing as well. I met with families who are sharing shoes and socks because they don't have those. It's the middle of winter now, and the children are exposed. I've met with families who don't have the money to try and put a shelter over their children's head. We see children who are out in the open with nothing. I've met with mothers who are devastated because they cannot provide their children with diapers. And I've met with women who can't access sanitary pads. So when we say that the suffering is everywhere, it is absolutely everywhere that I look.
Can I ask you specifically, I don't know whether you can answer this, it's potentially an UNRWA situation, but you are the UN as well. UNRWA has complained that there's just too much obstacles to getting trucks of aid in. The IDF has responded by public tweeting saying that you can't keep avoiding the facts, there is no collective punishment, 2 crossings are open. You said you could transfer 200 trucks a day in Kerem Shalom, yet you're not even scraping 100 over the last 80 days. We've adjusted ourselves, all you've been doing is stalling. This is a weird conversation to be having over humanitarian aid. But are you stalling? Is the UN stalling, or why aren't the required number of trucks coming in?
It is a very weird conversation, let alone one to be having over Twitter, when what we're talking about is the fate of more than 2.2 million people in the Gaza Strip who are in desperate need. And we are not stalling, Christiane. The fact that all of us here wake up every day trying to get assistance out is proof positive of the fact that we are not stalling. There are many challenges. The trucks that come from Egypt go through multiple screenings. Rafah, as you know, was never designed to be a goods crossing. The screening that is done at Kerem Shalom is a good step forward, but no crossing from Israel is actually open for the delivery of goods through Israel into the Gaza Strip, which, as you know, was the primary way that goods came in. And we are not just talking about the humanitarian supplies. We need the commercial sector to become revived at scale for people to be able to revive their lives.
We're so pleased to have you on. Gemma Connell, thank you so much, from the UN's OCHA department. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.